ask my dad for money. Dad, can I borrow $20? $15? What are you going to do with $10? Why do you want $5? Comedians by nature are idiots with money. And I know this firsthand because I'm an idiot with money. I'm getting better at it now, but I did some ridiculously idiotic things. Just like it did, you know what it was? It's when you come from nothing, you automatically just like, well, I'm supposed to have nothing. So if I get this and spend it, it's no big deal. I know what nothing is. I know nothing better than I know something. So we are not particularly good spenders or stuff like that. We're pretty obnoxious. I think Sebastian might be good at it. Sebastian Maniscalco. I think he might be. I mean, we're friends, but we don't. That's the other thing too, is comics don't like to talk money. We don't. Dave Chappelle might be really good with money because you look at how much money he makes. He probably rakes in somewhere close to $100 million a year, and he moved to Ohio. You know what I mean? He bought a farm in Ohio, and that's where he lives. He didn't go for the big glitzy. He bought a farm. I'm sure he spent no more than $1 million, $500,000, $1.5 million, and he's very happy out there. It's a small town, like literally a small town. I was playing Cincinnati a few years ago. Matter of fact, I played Cincinnati again last year. I called him and I was like, "Yo, I'm in." He goes, "I know, I see that. I'm shooting my special in Detroit, but I'm flying back every night. Come by the house after." And I'm like, "All right, well, call me." And he didn't call because I was like, first of all, I was too tired. I was like, I hope he doesn't call. And secondly, he didn't call because I knew he's shooting a special. He's not trying to just hang out. I think we need to make people understand when you hear, I can only relate it to the entertainment, maybe the sports world as well, but when you hear, like say a comedian, let's say Russell Peters made $30 million this year, right? People go, wow, Russell Peters has $30 million. No, the hell fucking does. He does not have $30 million because first of all, the tax man's taking 15 of that. So now you're at 15, but you also have your manager, your agents. That's another 20% of the 30 million they're taking the 20% from. So you're losing all this money along the way. So if you see the number 30 million, you could be sure that maybe if I was lucky, I maybe got 9 million. Maybe.
We can relate that in lower numbers.
Yeah, but you know, it's the exact same thing. So it's like people go, wow, you got all this. You go, no, you don't. I've learned that lesson over the years where it was like, I thought, because I would even get caught up and be like, hey, they just got a check for $2 million. I'm like, all right, I got $2 million. You're like, no, I don't. I'd be lucky if I have $500,000 out of that.
You need them to take off the tax when you get your check.
Basically, yeah. Because that's a way of making money while you're sleeping. That's the smart way to do it. You know, I've subsequently become friends with a lot of very successful, especially in the real estate world, a lot of success. The most successful people you meet are successful through real estate. Okay. Donald Trump was successful through real estate. Doesn't mean he's a genius. It just means he was just good at real estate. You know what I mean? A lot of people that made a lot of their money, you know, you got the Elon Musks of the world, and you got the Steve Jobs, who were the creatives who were able to make things that you need. But at the end of the day, most of the really successful people have been real estate people. And, you know, my friends that are very successful, these guys are billionaires, and they were just okie dokes from St. Louis. You know, they're not like these guys that went to Harvard or anything. These are just regular guys, and they're sitting on billions of dollars now because they know how to invest. They know what to buy and where to buy and when to buy, and they're helping with that as well as Simon. He's one of those guys as well. He's just a dumb prick from Wales. Came to Canada, didn't speak any English because he spoke Welsh for no reason.
I came with $20, that's the story.
$20 on a camel. And, but again, he's another guy, you know, all these guys, look at how successful everybody is who gets involved in real estate. And it's got to start from somewhere. People go, I'm never going to get there because you haven't started. You know, you gotta start something. It's not going to happen right away, but you'll see it flip, and it's like a snowball effect.
And I want to interject, you know, You see a lot of people that had never wanted to be in real estate. Like I've seen that through a lot of doctors and surgeons that have become real estate investors with us, and they kind of fell into it by accident. They tried it, and now even last night, very late last night, I was speaking to two surgeons, and I think one of them just reminded me that in the last 10 years, he's purchased almost 30 units. So he has 30 condos in downtown Toronto. And another one that is a friend of his that was on this conference call, in the last 2 years, he's bought 9. And the first thing they told me was that how much they love being surgeons, but they don't really make a lot of money. And they realized that, you know, the nest egg for any professional, especially professionals like doctors that have, you know, committed 10, 12 years into education, and they start their first year in debt. It takes a very, very long time for them, especially in Canada, to be able to come out of debt, and then to obviously also have a stable, you know, nest egg when they're retiring. So real estate is something that anyone and everyone can get into, and it's like Canada's favorite, pastime right now. There's not a single time I've been to a coffee shop or a restaurant where I can hear the next table talking about they're about to sell their house or about to buy their house or they're about to buy an investment property. Everybody loves the real estate game. And I think it has a lot to do with the fact that you have some pride in ownership. You get to drive by something and point at it and say, I have a unit there. Or I have the Starbucks store, it's my tenant. And you don't get that with stocks. Like, you never hear people bragging about how much X stock they purchased, because generally when they purchase those stocks, they lose money anyway. So I think most people try to deny that they even have those stocks. But with real estate, and Canada's on a 30-year run right now, real estate's here to stay. It's getting harder and harder every single year for developers to be able to develop land, and we've got a major housing shortage. Mm-hmm. So I think if anyone that's listening, if anyone's really thinking about what to do next in real estate, whether they're somebody that's new, a recent graduate, for example, which is one of the best types of demographics to get into real estate investing, because they're in their early 20s.
And you don't have kids and no dependents, you're good. That's probably the best time to do something.
That's a different type of advice in investing.
I'm just saying.
But you know, they've got time on their hands, right? And real estate works best. All of these guys that Russell was speaking about, these guys that are actual real estate billionaires, they're all in their 60s or 70s. Mm-hmm. It doesn't mean you have to be that old. That's a billionaire. But the reality is, if you start at the age of 25 years old, by the time you're 50, even if you have 3 apartments, 3 condos, you've got yourself about $6 million worth of assets, which you wouldn't have had by just going to your day job. You know, so there's a lot of sacrifices. People that invest in real estate have to cut back on other things. But I think in the long run, if you're really smart about it, and also if you have family and friends that have gone through cycles, they're able to give you some advice.
Okay, great. I read a Forbes article about you that said that dropped a whole bunch of $1 million signs for every pack show you've ever had, but then they called you notoriously unknown.
Yeah, that's fine.
So how does...
What's funny is, a lot of comics, like I'll give an example. Somebody said to Jerry Seinfeld, somebody I know said, hey Jerry, do you know Russell Peters? And Jerry's response was, Russell Peters is very successful. Not funny. Then nobody says he's funny. That's the worst part. That's the part that bothers me. I don't care about that. Just, motherfucker, you better start that with funny and then successful. Very successful. Makes a lot of money. Sometimes when people are introing me at a comedy club, one of the richest, I'm like, don't say that. I'm just one of the funniest. Let's go with funny, because my job here to be funny. It's not. My job is not here to be a rich guy, because I'm not a rich guy. I did well for myself, but that doesn't make me a rich guy. I got lucky.
Well, no, you probably worked really hard for it.
I worked hard, but it's still a certain amount of luck, you know?
Yeah.
Well, no, I am who I am. I'm born this way. You're born a comedian. If you're a comic, you're probably born, and you're good at it, you're born to be that person. There's people that, you look at it, there's people that learn to be good at it. That doesn't mean that's their natural calling.
Yeah.
Like, I know, no matter how long I'm in the business now 33 years. I'm going to be in it for another at least 30. you know, and I don't care if I do movies or I've done movies, but I don't care if I do any more movies or not. I don't care because my whole focus is stand-up. That's all I want to do. I want to get on stage, do my job, make people laugh, and that's it. That's what I do that for the rest of my life.
That's awesome. I love that.
Yeah. And invest, because when those times show up where you don't, you know, where I found out the hard way that I hadn't made any wise investing. You know, I quickly learned over COVID that you need to make money when you're sleeping.
Yeah.
And I wasn't. I was just making gas when I was sleeping.
Actually, I was going to ask you about that as well. Like, while not everyone can relate to being a comedian, they can relate to having like sort of like predictable streams of income.
Right.
So what have you learned of that from that?
Well, I learned that I was spending as much as I was making. And I subsequently learned how to curb that. You know, you learn quickly how to adapt, you know. So yeah, you just learn how to be wiser with your money.
What was the aha moment?
COVID was the aha moment where I didn't realize, you know, I'll give out numbers, I'm not afraid of it. I didn't realize my monthly nut was $250,000 a month. That's what I was spending a month to keep everything afloat. And I'm like, what? That's insane. Companies don't do that. Why would I do that? I was doing it to myself. That's the worst part. It wasn't like somebody did it to me. I did it to myself. And I was like, oh, hell no. And I just started cutting everything off. I was like, yeah, no, this is not the way it's going to go.
So you budgeted.
What do they call it? I restructured. Yeah.
You once said you'd put Anne Murray on a loonie. What face would be on your Apple Pay icon?
On my Apple Pay? I don't think it'd be a face, it would just be the finger. Click, click, bing!
It was about Canadian icons.
Oh, Canadian icons. I would put, on Apple Pay,
Yeah.
I would put Stompin' Tom.
When did you feel like you made it? Was there a financial status for you? Was it like something career-wise? What was the time when you were like,
I honestly, it's gonna sound cliche, I still don't think I've made it. I still think there's a lot more for me to do to make me feel like I've made it. To other people, am I successful? Sure, yeah, and I am successful, but have I made it? No, not yet.
what will be that?
I don't know what the moment is. I think if you can pinpoint it, then you're gonna do yourself a disservice and not enjoy the ride.
So not like write yourself a check like Jim Carrey.
Jim Carrey, no. No, see that's white privilege. You can to know that it could happen one day. For me, it was like it's all completely left field for me. You know, I'm the first Indian guy. Who would have thought, you know, that I would A, become successful and B, spawn all these comedy babies, as they call them. They say, how many comedy babies did you spawn? And then there's a long list of all these Indian comics now because I spawned these comedy babies.
Well, you have a lot of people who go to your shows, so
Yeah.
there's a lot of people who think you can do it.
I mean, I'm happy that they're there. That's how I look at it. I never call them fans either.
What do you call
I
them?
call them friends.
Oh,
Because
okay.
fans sounds like a hierarchy thing, and I don't feel like that. I don't feel like I'm here and they're there. I feel like I'm not here if you're not here. We need to be here together. We're all doing this together.
Well, that's your style of comedy too, right?
Yeah, it's about making everybody inclusive in the joke.
Oh, okay.
Well, I mean, I have 2 kids and 2 different baby mamas and 2 different situations when it comes to that. My daughter, who's 11, doesn't understand money still. It's just been there for her whole life, you know. Things are there. She doesn't realize things cost money. It's not until recently that she got some money for her birthday. I told her, you put this in a wallet. And when we go to the mall, if you want something, you go buy it. And she's like, okay. And then my wife has 2 daughters that are 30 and 28. So they're teaching my daughter how to budget. And they drew up a chart for her. Here's your money. And once you buy something, can put in here how much you have left. And, you know, so they're teaching her things that I never got taught.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So you learning something?
I'm learning at the same time. My son, I mean, he's only 3. I will give him his financial advice, not his mother, because her financial advice is coming out of my pocket anyway.
I read that you said you had ADD brain. Is that true?
I still do.
So how do you manage like things like investing and like your comedy income, and I'm sure you have other streams?
Well, the investing, that's why I have a guy like Simon with me, because my comedy brain, my ADD does not allow me to sit there and focus. There's a reason we're doing these together, you know. There's times where I'm like, he needs to talk now, because
I'm kicking him under the table constantly.
Yeah. We just did an interview in the other room, and the woman used a word neither one of us knew, and I still answered the question, and I don't know if I answered it
What was
correctly.
the word?
I don't remember. It was a word I was unfamiliar with, and I'm like, damn it, I hope I don't sound like an idiot right now.
So in addition to Simon, who else do you have in your circle?
You know, I just have these friends of mine that are successful in that world,
Oh, okay.
who I ask about what to do, how to do, when to do. And they're like, well, when you're ready, let us know. We'll make it happen for you. They're not going to give me any money or anything, but they will give me the knowledge.
Okay. I just have two more questions.
Yeah, that's fine.
So I read that you invested in psychedelics.
Yes.
What won't you invest in?
I did it well last year.
Did you get into my company?
I don't know if it's yours. We should talk after.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just going public now.
I think ours is already public. Yeah, no, I got into that. I recognize it as the next wave. Marijuana has been, finally legalized, and psychedelics, psilocybins, and all that stuff is from the earth. It's been getting used for centuries. I'm pretty sure all religious texts came from people on psychedelics. That's why the stories are so unbelievable. But yeah, I mean, it's just one of those things where you're like, you need to have a little foresight and you go, okay, that's next. It's got to be next. It's not chemical. It's from the earth.
Mm-hmm.
The earth is giving us these things. Why are we not listening to the earth? We listen to the earth at the wrong time, Hey, Mother Earth is crying. Yeah, look, there's global warming. Well, we should have listened to the earth. Now let's listen to the earth from the earth. Put your ear to the ground and listen now. I mean, I don't know. I'm kind of ignorant in that world. I don't play the stocks yet because I'm not, to me that's gambling. And I'm like, I'm not here to gamble,
Okay.
But that doesn't mean doesn't mean I won't. But I need that sure shot thing, you know what I mean? I'm not the guy, I can't be like, here's my money. I need to know that something's going to happen with that.
I know that George Carlin is a huge icon for you.
Oh yeah.
So I found this quote that he had: "Most people work hard enough to not get fired and get paid enough to not quit." What's your favorite money bit of George Carlin?
I don't know that I could quote a money bit of his, but it would definitely be a place for your stuff. Because you get stuff, and then you need a place to put your stuff. And the more stuff you get, the bigger the place you need.
That's why you have so many houses.
That's why I have a lot of stuff. What's funny is my house in Los Angeles is 8,000 square feet, and I literally don't have enough space in there.
That's so funny.
Like I had to call in my builder to come put some shelving in the kitchen, in the garage, because I was like, I got no room for anything. It's the old joke of me asking my dad for money. Dad, can I borrow $20? $15? What are you going to do with $10? Why do you want $5?
That's amazing. And you didn't do that to Sean.
No, I didn't. I don't even know if he asked me for money. I just gave it to him. One or the other. I tend to do that sometimes. I look at people's eyes when I see them on the street. I want to know, where are their eyes at? Where are they?
Yeah.
Because your eyes can be open, but you can be missing. I know that because I do that all day.
Your eyes are missing?
My eyes are open, but I'm missing. You know what I mean?
Those are all my questions. Was there anything else you guys wanted to do?
So what happened was, a few years ago, I was in Santa Monica, and I came out of a restaurant, and this guy walks up to me. He's clearly on drugs, clearly strung out, filthy, homeless. And he's like, hey man, down on my luck. And I go, I see that. And he's like, wait a minute, aren't you Russell Peters? And I'm like, wait, how do you know who I am? Like, how do you know who anybody is? I mean, and he starts talking to me, he goes, yeah, my mom's Guyanese and my dad's, whatever his dad is, German or something. And he's like, yeah, I used to watch you, man. I think you're great. And he goes, yeah, I'm embarrassed. You know, I was the little chubby kid in Mighty Ducks. I was like, what? And I was in heavyweights. I was like, what? That was you? And I looked at him, I go, well, that was you, but he was all gaunt and completely just a shell of a man. But I could see in his eyes that he had, that he wasn't gone. Do you know what I mean? It wasn't like he was in this world and that's where he's going to be. You could see that he wanted to get out of that world, but he didn't know how to get out of that world. And I gave him $100 that day. That just happened with what I had in my pocket. I go, if I give you this, you gonna buy drugs? And he goes, not with all of it. I go, well, at least you're honest. I go, here. And he goes, thank you, man. And then, you know, I that was maybe 5-6 years ago. I never thought about it again. Then a few months ago, I get a message on my Instagram. I don't know if you'll remember this, but I was the guy that saw you outside of the deli, and you gave me $100, and I really appreciate it. I've been sober now for 3 years, and I looked at his page, and you could see he gained his weight back, and he looked really good. Because I've been doing stand-up now, and I'm, you know, just trying to, you know, I'm really focused. And I go, of course I remember you, because I see that you're playing an Oxnard. I'd love to come see the show. And I said, you know what? Why don't you come and do some time on my show?
Very cool.
So came and did time. He did great. He's a great kid, you know.
That's awesome.
Yeah, Sean Weiss. He's clean now. He's sober. He's like an advocate, and he's got an addictive nature. So I said, why don't you turn your addiction into stand up? Focus on that. It's only a win. You're only going to win from there. Interesting fact about Simon Mass. His middle name is Paynen. I used it earlier today, but I really liked it.
It's not bad.
Paynen Mass, no?